Hi, Trey. All right, y'all. So listen,
Hello.
did baby Peter go back to sleep? No.
Hell no, she ain't go back to sleep. And apparently neither did Dingaling Nose, cause Dingaling Nose, leave my Ebrooks alone.
Hi, Trey. Anyway, we'll
Leave her
cover that
alone.
on the other line. I don't want to talk about that right now. I just don't. I just
That,
don't.
that's all I had, cause I know she watching. She watch everything.
Oh yeah, especially these. She feel away. So yeah, thank y'all so much for joining today. I appreciate it. It's Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hopefully, everybody woke up feeling highly blessed and favored. Hey, Miss Margie. Hey, love baby. Hey, I can't. Um, we're gonna get into. Let me see. Hold on. What part is this? I think it's part three. Actually, I think it's part three. We're gonna get into the last parts of this Stephen Smith. Who killed Stephen Smith? Because as I told y'all, next week we are gonna get into the whole trial. Yes, I'm really excited about listening to the testimony in the trial. And what I've been trying to do is let y'all know as much as I can what's going on with this family, what's been going on with this family, what they are dealing with. Um, as far as all these other accusations when it comes to the family. So that's why I've been really. When I found this channel, I was hoping and wishing and praying I had found it sooner so I can cover some of these videos. But I'll get them in. I'll get them in because that's what I do. Okay. Is my Bluetooth on? Let me see. I think it is. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna go back just a tad bit. Okay. I'm gonna go back just a tad bit so we can begin where we ended on yesterday. Y'all, please hit the like button if you don't mind. Get this commentary in the algorithm. Okay. Hold on a minute. Get this commentary in the algorithm because this is hashtag content that matters. Okay. And it's kind of hard to keep this type of commentary in the algorithm when you have all the other bullshit going on, because that's what people like. All right. So with that being said, Buster is the only one alive and the only one not locked up. So he's around. He's got a lot of shit coming towards his way, according to what we learned. Huh?
You think Buster's still in Hampton, or he moved?
I don't know if he's still in Hampton because they sold the property. So I don't
Did
know if
you
he's still in Hampton.
did you get that video I sent you the other day? I think I
I
sent
did.
it.
I
Well,
did. I
I
did.
think it
Thank
was a
you.
dude that was traveling around the properties or something like that. I think.
Yep. I watched it too. I wanted to play that too. Yeah, he was. Cause I don't know. I mean not Hampton, damn it. Buster might have dipped. He might have dipped. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll soon find out because the people ain't through covering this shit. It's a whole lot. Like I say, Buster might be soon coming up on some type of charges. So I don't know. He might have dipped. But anywho, y'all, let's get into this. Is actually part four. On the and if I can get a mod to drop the link. Hey, Kimmy Cam. Hey, all my moderators. Thank y'all so much for joining. I appreciate it. Let me see. Let me see who I got mine. I got to keep up with this. Hey, Cam. Come correct. Let me see. E. Brooks. Trey don't count. Thank y'all so much. Hey, y'all put that link to the Murdoch Murders podcast. Who killed Stephen Smith? Okay. Well, actually, the name of the channel is the Murdoch Murders podcast. Y'all should know by now. Um, so y'all please drop that link in the chat for me if y'all don't mind. Thank you, Heathen. Um, so y'all can go check that channel out because I think for those that you all that are interested in this case, that channel would be very, very interesting to you because she got some videos on here and she state facts and she get into things that's not in the news and things of that nature. You feel me? So if you are honestly really interested in this case, that channel is a good channel to go and check out. Okay, so let's get into part three, y'all. And actually, this is part four of the um part 4 on the actual channel. Okay, so let's get into it. Wednesday, December 9th would be just 2 days after the Highway Patrol received was involved in Stephen Smith's death. Keep in mind, let me go back. Wednesday, December 9th would be just 2 days after the Highway Patrol received a tip that Murdoch was involved in Stephen Smith's death. Keep in mind, Duncan is saying here that he received this tip from Trooper Mitch Altman on December 9th. And according to the Highway Patrol's case file, they essentially sat on it until Proctor got word of this tip and tried to track down Patrick Wilson on December 18th. That's 11 days, where it looks like nothing happened. Why would it take so long for them to investigate this tip? And how hard would it be to track down a teenager in a small town?
Okay. All right. As far as Patrick goes, what do you feel about Patrick? I mean, what kind of person you think he's?
As far as a good-hearted person, I think he is, but I think he's a little.
Is he shady? Yeah, I'm not
trying. For those that were in here yesterday and don't remember, this is the Corporal Michael E. Duncan of the Highway Patrol interviewing Nick, I guess it's Jen, of the Hampton Police Department about this young man who, hey, real quick, so good to see you, sweetie. All right, be safe, girl. Thanks for stopping in. Good morning, Boots to Beauty. Good morning. Thank you for joining. This and he's interviewing this Nick Ginn person about the young man who they are saying confessed to hitting Mr. Stephen Smith, y'all.
I'm not trying to be, put words in your mouth. Don't get me wrong, but that's the best way I kind of describe people sometimes when.
Well, that was the word I had in my mind, but I was trying to think of a better way to put it.
I understand.
His dad is not. His real dad is not a outstanding society member.
Been arrested, before.
Yeah, and I think he's in some drugs and stuff like that. So,
well, you think Patrick does he have a criminal background as far as that goes as well? I mean, only reason why I'm asking.
He was charged with attempted murder. But I'm not exactly sure what the circumstances behind that was. I want to say that was one of them times that they may have charged him a higher charge to work their way down.
Yes, sir. I understand. I understand.
Yeah, but I mean, anytime I ever have any dealings with him, I mean, he's very respectful and stuff like that. But he's a little shady. Okay. That's probably the perfect word to use.
There is no record that the Highway Patrol looked into Patrick Wilson's quote-unquote shady past, but I did. Wilson was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder on April 17, 2015. According to arrest warrants in the case, Wilson... Hey, I knew you. I just didn't want to say anything. Hey, girl, y'all be safe coming back home, okay? Make sure you call me or text me when you make it back. Thanks for stopping in. Hey, Nirvana. All right, y'all. Hey, Margie. All right, y'all. Here we go. Wilson got into an argument with a man and fired his gun at the man's car. Right, let me go back because now she's talking about the attempted murder charge of the young man. I missed it. I was reading the chat. Hey, Monica. There is no record that the Highway Patrol looked into Patrick Wilson's quote-unquote shady past, but I did. So what she's talking about now is Patrick Wilson's past. Now, Patrick Wilson is the young man that supposedly, allegedly confessed to hitting something on the road that night, possibly being Stephen Smith. Hey, Lady Sunflower. Okay. All right, so here we go. She's talking about the so-called attempted murder charge that Stephen Smith had. Not Stephen Smith, I'm sorry, y'all. Patrick supposedly had.
Wilson was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder on April 17, 2015. According to arrest warrants in the case, Wilson got into an argument with a man and fired his gun at the man's car, which had 2 passengers inside of it. This incident happened on Prince William Road in Brunson, South Carolina. Here is a clip from the 911 call.
The fellow did a little bit of work for us. We told him we have his money Monday. He is now following us around. He just fired a gun and shot at us. And now I'm trying to call him to get his tag number, ma'am. He's driving a Chevy full-size Chevrolet. It's David Wilson's son. So we had pulled over at Prince William Church here because he was following us. He wanted his money. We told the child to call us Monday. We would have a check Monday. All right, and as he wanted to sit there and argue, we pull off. If we pull off, he sits in the road and fires the gun at us. It hits the sign right beside us.
Okay, is he still there where y'all are at, or is he gone?
No, he turned around, ma'am. He is out of sight.
According to the arrest warrants, all victims were afraid for their lives. Sean Connolly, the person who Patrick Wilson allegedly later claimed hit Stephen with his truck, was in the car with Wilson when the shooting occurred, according to his witness statement. Connolly told police that Patrick Wilson grabbed his gun and shot at the sign after he argued with a man. The case file includes multiple witness statements and a photo of the bullet launched into the crossroads sign. A Hampton County grand jury later indicted Wilson on attempted murder and assault and battery in August 2015. While Wilson was out on bond, the family he allegedly shot at filed multiple harassment complaints against Wilson. And guess who Patrick Wilson's attorney was? Corey Fleming.
Now, who the hell is Corey Fleming? Let's see.
Corey Fleming's name comes up a lot throughout the Murdoch murder saga. For a reminder, Corey Fleming is a close friend of the Murdoch family and was an attorney in Beaufort, South Carolina. In 2018...
Okay, so he's... All right. I don't remember hearing his name, though. I don't, but okay. Shout out to Raina. Thank you, baby, for you working hard. I am, girl. Thank you for appreciating it. I appreciate you. Thank you, Raina, for supporting the channel. Corey Fleming. I don't think I remember his name, but we're gonna find out.
Fleming represented Gloria Satterfield's family in a very botched wrongful death settlement.
Oh, okay. Now I remember. He's the attorney that supposedly sued Alec Murdoch when the housekeeper passed. Y'all remember the housekeeper fell and died on their property. He told the housekeeper to sue him. And I guess his homeowner's insurance paid the family out, but they never got the money. So Corey Fleming is the lawyer that worked for the family. Oh, wow. Okay, here we go, y'all.
Corey Fleming's name comes up a lot throughout the Murdoch murder saga. For a reminder, Corey Fleming is a close friend of the Murdoch family and was an attorney in Beaufort, South Carolina. In 2018, Fleming represented Gloria Satterfield's family in a very botched wrongful death settlement against Alec Murdoch.
Wow.
In 2019, Fleming temporarily represented Connor Cook in the boat crash incident that killed Mallory Beach. And 2 recent lawsuits accused Corey Fleming of misconduct in those separate incidents.
Wow.
Fleming just got his law license temporarily revoked for his alleged involvement in the Satterfield case. In February 2018, Wilson's indictments were all...
right, thank you, D-Truth. You got a show tonight? Wait a minute, working... Stopping by to show my love, working. Oh, you working? Okay. All right.
Null prost, which means that the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office, where Alec Murdoch worked as a part-time solicitor, decided to not prosecute Wilson's charges, and the charges were dropped. But this looks like a clear scenario of a violent crime with victims who appeared to cooperate that the 14th Circuit null prost without a plea deal. And Wilson's connection isn't the only link to the powerful family of Hampton County. 2 lawsuits were filed against Sean Connolly by the Murdoch law firm
Thank you, Nirvana. Thank you, showing love for the boss and girl. Thank you, Nirvana. I appreciate that, girl. Appreciate that. All right, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. You can absolutely show me you appreciate me by hitting the like button and getting this commentary in the algorithm, okay, y'all? And also feel free to hit the super chat, cash app, all of that, okay? Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much.
In the year after Stephen died. On August 7, 2015, Randy Murdoch filed a motor vehicle accident lawsuit against Connolly on behalf of his client, Christopher Still. That lawsuit was dismissed in November 2016. Perry Buckner, a well-known friend of the Murdochs, was the judge in that case. And on May 17, 2016, Neil Alger, who is an attorney at PMPED, the Murdoch family law firm, filed a motor vehicle accident lawsuit against Sean Connolly. That lawsuit was also dismissed in September 2016. Hey. So yes, both Patrick Wilson and Sean Connolly have a number of connections to the Murdoch family and their law firm. At the very least, the fact that we found 2 teenagers in this investigation who were sued multiple times by the Murdoch law firm for car accidents shows how far-reaching the Murdoch's power was in a place like Hampton County. Even teenagers without a penny to spare were being sued by this powerful law firm. And then we have to think of the worst-case scenarios. What if these lawsuits and charges were used as leverage? We have found more troubling information about the Patrick Wilson-Sean Connolly connection to the 2021 SLED investigation, and we will get into that later. But for now, we're going to get through the case files and answer the question, what happened to the Stephen Smith investigation before it went cold? Which brings us to December 29th, 2015. Now, the Highway Patrol apparently didn't do any follow-ups with Sean Connolly or Patrick Wilson, according to the case file. Wow. There's no record of the Highway Patrol speaking with either one of them. And really, there was very little movement with the case before it went cold. But on December 29, 2015, I noticed something. A video related to this case that was taken by Trooper G.N. Hoffman was disposed of. Why would the Highway Patrol destroy any evidence in this case?
I wonder how this lady getting all this information, like, honestly. Because, they ain't putting this stuff out here. How does she know that that video footage that was taken was gotten rid of? Thank y'all for hitting the like button. Thank you for the 31 like. Hey, Paula. Thank y'all for hey, Margie, that's sweet to you, sweetie. Thank y'all for the 31 likes. Please continue to hit the like button. I'm trying to figure out how this lady know all of this stuff. And like, why would they delete a video? Right? I can't. Shit, some of this stuff wasn't even covered in the documentary. I'm like, wow.
In December 2015, when the case was obviously running out of leads and nowhere close to being solved. According to the case file, progress in the investigation slowed to a snail's pace in 2016. On January 26, 2016, Todd Proctor of the Highway Patrol got a search warrant for Stephen's phone at Cellco Partnerships/Verizon Wireless. I'll have David read that search warrant.
Description of property sought. The target phone is to be identified as
okay, y'all listen. So this is information. I'm gonna back it up just a little. I be wanting y'all to catch it. So this is they got a subpoena search warrant or whatever for Stephen's phone. Okay, and what you're about to hear is them saying what they found in his phone. She probably prayed for the transcripts. I don't know if some of this stuff would be in the transcripts either. I don't know. Like, why would them getting rid of a video be in the transcripts? I'm not for sure. But I know this lady got some information that ain't nobody else got. That's what really got me with this podcast. It's really good. Y'all make sure y'all continue to drop that link to the podcast. Hey, Miss K. And Bush is driving. Okay, be safe, Miss K. I can't say, do you think there may have been informant in the camp? Girl, with this little small town and how they maneuver and how they move, you just never know. Hey, Miss Gloria. You just never know. All right.
And the investigation slowed to a snail's pace in 2016. On January 26, 2016, Todd Proctor of the Highway Patrol got a search warrant for Stephen's phone at Cellco Partnerships/Verizon Wireless. I'll have David read that search warrant.
Description of property sought. The target phone is to be identified as having the number of 843-605-XXXX and is further known as target phone. Any and all incoming and outgoing historical call data to include cell sites, text messages, to include content, identify cell site information, subscriber and phone toll information to include but not limited to target number, main number, account status, type of phone, subscriber name, published status, service address, billing address, other numbers, former service number, UF.
Miss Monica, it is. It started last night. It started last night. So yeah, it is, Miss Monica.
MI and IMSI numbers for each call from June 9th, 2015 to July 9th, 2015. Any and all information submitted pursuant to this search warrant shall be in electronic format unless otherwise requested. Reason for affiant's belief that the property sought is on the subject premises. The owner of the above described cell phone was fatally wounded in an incident on or about July 8, 2015 on Sandy Run Road within the county of Hampton, South Carolina. The uses of the phone before the incident are pertinent to the ongoing investigation. The individual was found deceased in the middle of the roadway with severe head trauma. The investigation has led to this individual not being struck by a vehicle and possible foul play. The information on the phone would help determine who the victim had contact with prior to the events that led to his death.
Y'all remember they're talking about Stephen's phone, okay? They're talking about the contents of Stephen's phone.
So why did the Highway Patrol take so long to get the search warrant? Stephen's phone would hold so many answers to this investigation. Who did he speak to last when he was coming home from school in Orangeburg on July 7th, 2015? Did his car actually break down? Where was he? Who was he with? The Highway Patrol should not have taken 6 months to get the search warrant. They should have tried to get this immediately, and there's no signs of that. And if the South Carolina Highway Patrol's investigation led to the fact that Stephen wasn't killed by a car, and it says that in the search warrant, why were they still investigating this case? They don't investigate murders. SLED investigates murders in South Carolina. Why didn't they at least attempt to give this investigation to SLED back in 2016 when they knew that their investigation was not into a vehicle accident? In this document, in January 2016, is the last mention of Stephen's phone in the case files.
Wow. What did they find? Come on, y'all. Come on.
According to the case files, there was no movement whatsoever in the investigation until June 2016, when Trooper J.D. James of the Highway Patrol interviewed Dontario Aiken. For a reminder, the Highway Patrol received a tip on December 7th, 2015 that said Dontario Aiken, along with another black male and another white male listed as Murdoch in the investigation file, were the ones involved in Stephen Smith's death.
So they got an interview with Dontario, who was supposedly, all right, Monica, allegedly in the car with another black male and a Murdoch boy, which we believe is Buster. They're interviewing this guy. All right, let's listen, y'all.
June 13th, 2016, time now is approximately 2:04 p.m. This represents case number CL-062-15. It's an incident that occurred in Hampton County in 2015. Currently speaking with Ontario Aiken. We're on just off of SC3 and by the train tracks here. And Bill Doc, Lance Corporal Hoffman's with me. Can you just tell me your name just for the record? Ontario Aiken. Okay. Anybody else live there with you? Mom, stepdad. And all right, this occurred, I believe it's July 8th. It was Sunday night, Sunday morning.
James apparently isn't too keen on details in the case because Stephen was killed on a Wednesday. Granted,
Oh my God, how can he get that wrong? I can't say out of all the incidents surrounding this case, Stevens unalive is the one that creeps me out. It's something so sinister about the sum of details that has been leaked. Oh yeah, I can't. I agree. I agree, sweetie. What? How would the cop who's supposed? How would a cop who's supposedly investigating this crime get the damn day wrong? This is crazy, y'all.
police can lie during interviews to trick people, but why would he lie about that?
Tell me what you know about what happened to Stephen.
I really don't know too much about it. I mean, I heard about he got killed, but that was it. I ain't never heard what really happened to him.
How did he get killed?
Somebody I know went to school with me and Facebook, social media pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Who posted that stupid thing? I can't remember who posted it. I remember seeing it on Facebook. It was on somebody's page. Now you go to Facebook, you just destroy it. And then somebody was like, rest in peace, Stephen. And I was like, Stephen.
So what he's saying, this is the one of the black guys. Hold on, y'all. He's saying that he learned about Stephen's death through Facebook. Okay. So yeah, let's listen. It was a lot of people involved. Oh yeah, Miss Paula, you better believe it. Either incompetency or set up.
Then I seen somebody had a picture of it. I was like, oh, that kid used to tell him to go to school with me. That's all I knew he died. That's how I figured he died.
Did they say how he died?
Somebody said he got hit by a car or something.
That's what you heard. I didn't get hit by a car.
He did?
No. Someone murdered him.
So I have to say this again. If Stephen was murdered, then why is the Highway Patrol investigating this case still? The Highway Patrol specializes in accident reconstruction. They are not equipped for murder investigations. And this is so obvious during this interview.
That's what I'm saying.
So this is the thing. This is where we're at right now, y'all. So Stephen's death has been determined to be a murder and not actually a hit and run or whatever else they were saying. So what she's saying is, if it was determined to be murder and not accident related, as far as him being hit by a car, why is the Highway Patrol still investigating instead of SLED? I think that's what she's saying. So let's listen. Cause this dude, like, he's just incompetent, like somebody said in the chat. I can't.
For what?
That's good.
Why would somebody do that to you?
I have no idea. But he wasn't talking nobody, I don't think. Because he was out, when I played football, he was out training. No too much about nobody. Too much, I never seen him talk too much. I mean, I only see him every now and then in school, but other than that, I didn't never see him.
Here, Ontario is telling James that he never really talked to Stephen and that Stephen was their trainer on the football team in high school. He said Stephen didn't talk a lot and he wondered why anybody would kill him.
And when did you hear about his death?
When I got home.
When was that?
Yeah, Friday. Well, before that Friday, Sunday morning, something like that. No, it was like a week later when I heard about it. So I came back home when I heard about it. Well, this kid died.
Yours happened on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah. What were you doing that weekend?
I don't do most time when I come home, I was doing that. I had to work on the weekend too.
James asked Aiken several questions about what he was doing on the weekend Stephen died. But again, Stephen didn't die on a weekend. And he brings this up over and over again, asking him basically about an alibi for an insignificant weekend almost a year after this event occurred.
Did you ever go out to parties out in the country with some schoolmates?
Well, I ain't partying so long. It didn't make no sense.
I mean, that weekend.
Yeah.
What were you doing over the weekend?
Work.
But you said you're off. You don't work on the weekend, right?
I'm saying I do side work on the weekend.
Right.
either people's houses or came to my house. I used to go to Augusta sometimes. That weekend, I think I was in. I think that was in. Oh, a buddy of mine named Deontay. I worked at his house all day that day.
It is highly unlikely that Aiken or anyone could have randomly recalled where he was on an uneventful weekend 11 months prior. And again, the weekend doesn't even matter because Stephen wasn't killed on the weekend. But the investigator doesn't know that and he just keeps asking about it. He eventually switches the subject and starts asking about the Murdochs.
You should have schooled some kids with the last name Murdoch.
Murdoch?
Murdoch.
I know a girl. But that's not it.
You know the boys?
It wasn't too many. Well, one he graduated with Steve.
Right. You hang out with him?
No, did.
I don't know who this is. Hold on, y'all. Oh.
Hi, girl. Hi.
Hey.
Hey, polka dot flexes.
Yes. Yes, it is.
What you doing, child?
Girl, nothing, girl. I've been trying to fix my little stuff. I think I messed it up. That's all right. Oh, girl. What y'all been doing? I just woke up, girl. I've been cooking. Done put my little roasted potatoes out and stuff. Girl.
I cooked that last Sunday. I did. It was so good.
Yes, girl. I just had a taste for it today.
I cooked the meatloaf. So you know how long it's been since I had a meatloaf?
Girl, you cook
Do you got
I know. It seems like we don't
Is that
forgot about the meatloafs and stuff.
Yeah,
Is that a lava lamp background? Or is
Ain't
that
it
a
cute?
fish tank? Is
That's
that
a
a fish
fish
tank?
tank. That's a fish tank. Hold on.
Ooh.
That's
Hey,
the fish
girl.
tank. Girl, now look. These the little Debbie nutty buddies. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Oh, I took this the cereal.
You bought some Nutty Buddy cereal?
I didn't buy him. Mr. bought him trying to be funny because he know I like nutty buddies, so he gonna sit here and buy the damn cereal.
What did you taste it yet?
No. Cause I'm bougie when it comes to my snacks. Okay.
Oh God.
I ain't never ate no Nutty Buddy cereal. I ain't never ate no Nutty Buddy cereal. I've been eating chocolate donuts this morning. Y'all forgive me. Huh?
Just eat them dry. I don't think they're gonna go well with milk.
Me either. I'm bougie when it comes to my snacks, y'all. Hi,
Oh
y'all.
God.
I'm bougie. So y'all talking about that old Murdoch dude?
Yeah. Well,
call him
actually,
Murdoch.
we're talking about Stephen Smith. You know, the young man that was supposedly allegedly killed with. They say he got hit by a car. Then yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we into that portion, trying to figure out what happened to Stephen, girl.
I think so. I think they did something to him.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And Buster name keep coming up. That's what keep coming up, Buster. You know, when we talked about Mallory and the whole boat incident, that was all Paul.
Right.
And so now, with this particular incident, supposedly, Buster had something to do with it, allegedly.
Oh. Yes,
Are you
Mom.
cooking the
I
roast
got
too,
some
Miss Margie? I said, Miss Margie said she cooking the roast too. Yeah, I did the roast last week. That damn roast was so good and tender and ooh.
Baby, it's gonna go hard with the mashed potatoes. Yes, Monica, I got cereal out. Lil Debbie got cereal out. Okay.
Ooh, Raina said she making nachos. I don't want to eat nothing. I might fry some. What is porgies? What's that, Raina?
What's a porgy? Now I know. What's her name? MC Light said something about porges back in the day, but I didn't know what it was. Girl, what is porges?
Girl, let us know. Might be something we need to try.
Because it might be an up north thing. I don't know. I ain't never heard of the porges.
Yeah, Raina is Philly all day, honey. Porgies is a fish. Oh, I love fish, Raina. I love me some fish.
It's
I ain't never heard of that.
Maybe they call porgies what we call, what's them little fish? Damn, my cousin them always going fishing getting them motherfuckers too. Oh,
Trey, you doing chicken and waffles? That sound good.
Well, baby Patty said she wants some Eddie Kane Jr. soup.
What the hell is Eddie Kane Jr.? What
it's
is that?
Etta Khan. It's Etta Khan, not Eddie Kane.
Oh God. What
And
the
that's how they
hell?
spell it. That's how they spell it. It's their vegetable soup. It's their
Oh,
vegetable
it's
soup.
vegetable soup. Okay.
Yeah. You talking about Eddie
Hang on,
Kane
what the
Jr.
hell? It's bone. Wait a minute. It's bone all in the. You know what? I love freshwater fish. I
I
love
do
fish with the
too.
bone in it.
Like, that's
Tony
the
does
only way I
not.
can eat.
Tony got PTSD when he was younger because they stayed in the country. They caught their fish and cleaned them and ate them. And when he was younger, he almost choked to death on a fish bone. Literally, y'all, he almost choked to death. So ever since then,
Crappies. I thought maybe she was calling porgies crappies. I think that's what they call them, the little fish.
Oh, I love crappies. Crap, that's what they call them, crappies. Yeah.
Whatever.
So Tony
Mm-hmm.
don't like bone-in fish, but I love bone-in fish. I love
I
it.
do too. That's the only way I can eat it. I can't eat
Uh-huh.
I gotta have some bones in my fish. I don't know. It just, but see that stock fish in that African soup. Them some different type of bones in that fish.
Ooh, Tamara said beef ribs, potato salad. Girl, that sound good, baby. Ooh, that sound good to me. Tamara, y'all send me a plate. Y'all stop playing now and send me a plate because I got me an old meatloaf, girl. I ain't had meatloaf for so long. So long. I have to have that. Ooh, and Miss Margie, a lot of people don't like the head on, but the head is a good. The
I can't
head.
fuck that.
Come on now, Flexi.
I ain't eat no head.
Y'all country is hell.
I don't do the head.
It's good, y'all. It's good.
I don't fuck with head, period. I don't fuck with head.
I keep telling y'all, I was raised around my grandma who was dating a Jamaican, and he would make them fish, girl, and they had the head on them, and they just was so, that stuff was good, y'all. I love the head too, Ryan.
You eat the head on the fish?
Yes, Flexi, yes.
When I look at it and it's looking back, I ain't fucking with you. You got it. When I see
they want to see they fish smiling and shit.
I pass.
Okay, Tamara, girl, that sound good. Who don't give head? Oh, come correct, so nasty.
Not me.
The lady Sunflower had meatloaf 2 weeks ago, no head. Y'all so nasty. Y'all can't.
I knew the head part would spark a nasty conversation.
That's so nasty, girl. I love me some head. I ain't gonna act like I don't love me some
like the head on her crawfish.
I don't do no head, no crawfish, no fish, no nothing. You hear me? Fuck that.
Exactly, come correct. The head on shrimp are the best. The head of the crawfish is the best.
I have to give my shrimp no head. I'm sorry.
Come on, I can't. Y'all gonna stop downplaying the head. I'm sorry.
Girl, fuck the head. That's all I'm saying. Fuck the head.
You gotta suck the head. Come on, right now. Come on, right now.
I let y'all get all the juices from the head. I don't want it.
I love all the juices from the head. I ain't gonna lie.
You made that very clear to us before.
Flexi, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm just telling the truth.
Oh Lord, y'all crazy. I cannot believe how a simple statement can make this chat and this live go left. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's sad.
Brooks, look, I guess I'm not a freak girl. I guess I just like to get some deep.
Exactly.
Oh, my bad. We talking about tomorrow, though.
They don't care. Look, I can't say. I mean, like Sunflower said, so flexy. Wait a minute, who said that? It's moving so fast. Oh, Cam. Cam said so flexy. Fuck the head.
Fuck the head. Fuck the head. That's what I do. Fuck the head. I fuck the tip and I fuck the lips with the nail. When you had them lips on there, baby, I be fuck the head.
Wait a minute.
Fuck the head. Get on the tip. Fuck me. You shall right, Cam. That's why you my little fuss. That's why you my
Flex,
little
this
son.
live didn't go left until you hit the link. I'm just
I
saying.
know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We was talking about that Alec dude. I'm sorry. Alec Murdoch.
Look at Trey talking about true crimes, ladies and gentlemen.
This our commercial break. You got the
Yeah, this is a commercial break.
Now we go back to the regular scheduled program.
I can't believe this shit. Oh Lord have mercy. How we gonna talk about? We go from talking about Sunday meals and what everybody cook to. You know what? I ain't surprised though.
To good times, you hear me?
I'm not surprised though. Right, and Money Boy Truth wouldn't let me cuss out. I told you that's on a different line. Y'all don't get it, do you?
Cuss that girl, yes. Okay, well I fan that girl. I don't want
Yeah, I'm gonna let you in on it. I'll be live at 7 addressing it.
Okay, well I'll be on her girl because I'm just chilling. This been my self-care weekend.
Your self-care. Oh, okay, nothing wrong with that. Thank you, Raina, for that link. I appreciate it. All right, y'all. I am very. Let's get back into the. I don't even know how we diverted.
Boots said they had to take it out. Oh, my bad, Boots.
That's been Nicole, girl. She traveling back home. She was on a little staycation.
Oh, I'm sorry, girl. The keys in the car. My bad.
Yeah, that's been Nicole. She said she had to take it out.
Y'all probably just left church too, girl. My bad.
She traveling back home. She took a little short trip over the weekend.
Okay, well I'm just saying.
And she headed back home. She had no speaker.
Oh, my bad, girl.
I done told her about that shit. She always put something on their speaker.
Yeah, cause you know, shit, we get a little right.
And now we can turn left.
Turn left in the minute. A bloop bloop.
Girl, she know we can turn left. Like, B know us by now. It don't make no sense. The only thing you can really say won't turn left is the Sunday morning inspiration. That's about it. Anything else, ain't no telling. Ain't no telling what I had.
That's what make it fun.
Yeah.
Okay, we could go on and listen to the little people tell the little story on what we already know Alec did.
Exactly. But you know what? Even though this is the thing on Flex, even though Alec was convicted for killing his wife and son, we still don't know who killed Paul, and we still don't know who killed the housekeeper.
That he did. She.
Who did?
Okay, hold on. So I believe Alec killed everybody. Just everybody.
You think Alec had something to do with Paul death too?
Hell yeah, because Paul was costing him. I feel like he did because
not Paul. I'm sorry. Not Paul, because he killed Paul. He was convicted for killing Paul. Stephen, the young man Stephen. Who do you think did that?
Maybe Paul did that because he probably felt some type of way of Stephen always hanging out with his brother.
Ooh, that's a different twist.
Y'all got to pay attention.
I do know what the people keep saying a Murdoch boy, but I keep thinking Buster. But you know, Paul had the reputation.
I think Paul did it because he was a little jealous of the time that because Buster and Stephen was cool. They was real good friends, right?
I'm hoping these phones, because see, right now we're listening to they finally got a subpoena for Stephen's phone. So I'm hoping what they found in his phone will shed some light on the like how close Buster and Stephen were, because it was rumors out there that Buster and Stephen were getting it on, but then it's like it was so hush hush. Not too many people knew about it. Okay, so
yeah, but I think Paul did that.
Yeah.
Because didn't he make a remark about calling Stephen gay or something? Didn't he have some? He made some type of remark like during one of the little what is it called? The first live you played where we was listening to it. He made like remarks about Stephen, right?
Well, yeah, they did say that they had it was some talk about Stephen, but everybody knew Stephen was gay though.
I know. I think Paul did this shit.
Damn. Okay, well that's a different twist because I've been sitting here all along thinking it was Buster.
Oh, why would you think Buster did it if that was his
Because
friend?
Buster is the one that supposedly was fooling around with Steven.
But why would he kill Steven?
Because he didn't want to get it out. He didn't want it to get out that he was fooling around. Because you got to remember, Flexi, listen. Buster was the golden child. Now Paul, it was well known that he was the troublemaker. He was always getting in trouble, blah, blah, blah. But Buster is the one that had the reputation for being the good boy.
Okay, but did Steven tell? Was it some type of comment made that Steven might have said he was gonna tell that him and Buster was fooling around if they was?
We don't know. I'm hoping they found something like that in his phone because don't nobody know.
Well, that would be the only thing to change my mind. I don't think Buster would kill him. I mean, being that they've been friends for how many years?
Well, they all went to high school together. I don't know if it went past like high school or whatever, but I do know they all went to school together.
I just feel like Paul did it.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a new twist, y'all. It's a new twist because I've been sitting up here thinking, Buster. Let's listen to I hope they're going to tell us what they found in Steven's phone, y'all. So, and Flexi, you and Trey can stop me at any time. Let's see what we hear here.
Okay.
Did you ever go to any of his parties at any time? Yes, sir.
Then the interview starts to turn serious. It becomes
now this interview is with I think his name Dontarius or something like that. It's supposedly a young man that was in the truck allegedly with another African American male and a white male. So let's hear. I forgot the point we was at.
There that James is treating Aiken like a person of interest in this investigation. But then again, I have to say the cops can lie in these types of interviews.
Do you have an attorney?
No. What would I need?
I'm just asking. Well, here's the thing. Your name's been brought up. As late
Let
as
me tell you something, little Aiken. What is his name? Dontario Aiken now. Like I said, Dontario Aiken was one of the young men that was supposedly in the truck with another Murdoch boy. They don't say which one, and another African American male. When the police ask you, first of all, I don't even understand why you talking to the police without an attorney. But when the police ask you, do you have an attorney, you need to stop talking. Because if they ask you if you have an attorney, that means they're looking at you. You're a person of interest, okay? So I don't know if we're gonna stop talking in this moment. But if if you're being questioned and the police say, do you have an attorney? Stop talking. Stop talking.
Get a step. So, if there's anything that you want to say about it, I'd hate to see you go down with whoever killed this boy.
I wasn't there. Nobody until the day after he died. On that, is it? No, I heard he was hit by a car. That was it.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't. So we're going around and interviewing everybody that may have had a link based on what everybody's talking about. All right, your name got brought up. So that's what I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying you're guilty of nothing right now. Okay, all right. But if you know something, or something comes up in the future, this is by no means a closed investigation.
Yes, so that was,
you know what I'm saying?
I was saying.
Yeah. So, if something comes up in the near future, and we have leads to go on and we discover new information about the case, even if you didn't do it, if you were tied in with it and didn't cooperate with us, then you could get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? This is pretty,
yeah, that's real serious because it's somebody's life.
And that's it. That's the end of the investigation files. What kind of an investigation ends in an interview with a cop saying this is by no means a closed investigation? In a best case scenario, they gave up and stopped caring about Stephen Smith's death. Maybe they realized that they were in way over their heads trying to solve a murder as accident experts. But why didn't they give the case to SLED at the time? And then we have to consider the worst case scenario. Did someone powerful interfere with this investigation and stop the wheels of justice from proceeding? We don't have the answers as to why this investigation ended, but we will find out. And we would most definitely hope that the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division is now conducting its investigation in this case as if all of the eyes of the world will be pouring through these case files later. They should know that I won't give up on this case, no matter how long it takes. They should know that sunlight will shine on those case files, and they don't want to look like the Highway Patrol. We have found more information about the direction that this case is heading and about Sandy Smith's attorney, but we're going to get into all of that in a later episode. For those of y'all who can't wait, subscribe to fixnews.com, which brings me to some really good...
So that's the end of part 4, and as y'all heard her say, there's more. I guess as far as the Miss Sandy Smith, which is Stephen's mom. So there is a part 5. We're going to get into part 5, okay, y'all? And I think it's only 5 parts. So let's get into part 5. And yeah, let's see. Part 5. Okay, here you go. All right, so y'all listen. Y'all, please hit the like button if you don't mind. And also feel free to hit the Cash App and support the channel, okay? Thank y'all so much for supporting this content that matters, okay? Let's get into part 5, y'all. And like I said, y'all continue to drop that link for me to the Murdoch Murders podcast for those that want to go over and check it out. It's a real good channel, okay? All right, here we go. This is part 5 of Who Killed Stephen Smith.
I don't know who killed Stephen Smith, but I know his mother, Sandy, recently hired a new attorney, and I have a renewed sense of hope that the Smith family will finally get justice after waiting 2,359 days. My name is Mandy Matney. I'm a journalist at FitzNews.com, and I've been investigating the Murdoch family for almost 3 years now. This is the Murdoch Murders podcast with David Moses and Liz Farrell.
Thank you, Ian Kim. Thank you, Cammy Pooh. Thank you, Miss Margie, for always supporting the channel, sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Previously on the Murdoch Murders podcast, we took you through every detail of the 2015 investigation into Stephen Smith's death. If you haven't listened already, we highly suggest you going back and listening to episodes 2, 4, 9, and 17 before listening to this episode. It'll make a lot more sense, trust me. To recap, Stephen was found dead in the middle of a rural Hampton County road in July 2015.
Thank y'all for the likes. I appreciate that. Thank y'all so much.
His death still remains unsolved. Stephen's death was mysteriously ruled a hit and run by pathologist Aaron Presnell at the Medical University of South Carolina. And this is despite the fact that investigating agencies reported that there was no evidence to support this claim. His injuries, mostly to his head, were not consistent to those from a vehicular homicide. The ruling sent the entire investigation wildly off course, and the South Carolina Highway Patrol, an agency not equipped to investigate murders of this kind, was put in charge of the investigation. So from early on, the Murdoch name was brought up over and over and over again.
I told her that another friend of mine had texted me asking me if Lester and Stephen were together. And I told him no. I said, not that I knew of, and then I asked him why. He said because he had heard that. And then I asked him who he heard it from, and he said he didn't know, he just heard it.
And I went into the store, and a bunch of people kept coming up to me and they're like, the Murdoch boys are behind it.
Everybody keeps coming up to me and saying it's Murdoch boys.
I did hear names, and I heard a name. That name was, he goes by Buster Murdoch.
And And yet, South Carolina Highway Patrol troopers never interviewed anyone from the family.
Buster was on our radar long before you were. You know, the Murdochs know that. They know that he's on our radar. I don't have anything against them, but if it happened, like you said, I mean, if it happened.
But perhaps the most mysterious thing about the Stephen Smith case was how it ended.
I'm not saying you're guilty of nothing right now, okay? All right? But if you know something, or something comes up in the future, this is by no means a closed investigation. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, if something comes up in the near future, and we have leads to go on and we discover new information about the case, even if you didn't do it, I mean, if you were tied in with it and didn't cooperate with us, then you could get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is pretty, that's really serious. This is just somebody's life.
And as we said in the previous episode on Stephen Smith, that interview that you just heard was the last interview in the case file. It appears to us, from the files that we see, the Highway Patrol allowed the case to go cold right after that interview, which is really weird, because this is a case of a 19-year-old man who had a really bright future, who was suddenly found dead with his face bashed in on a rural road in a very small town. How could they just give up? How could they just accept that this was going unsolved after so few interviews? Did they even try to get to the truth? These are the questions that we need answers to.
I think that they as far as trying, I don't know. Thank you, Steph. Content. Oh, come on, sweetie. Thank you, baby. Hashtag content that matters. Thank you so much, Steph, from the show.
Yes, honey.
I appreciate you, sweetie. Thank you. As far as actually, y'all shout out Steph. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. When y'all encourage me, and Steph is one of those. Steph, it's so many of y'all. I ain't gonna even call out no names because I know I'm gonna forget somebody. But it's so many of y'all that encourage me to keep on coming with this content. And when y'all let me know that you do support it and you do appreciate it, it's not about the money, it's about the fact that my work is not in vain. Like me coming on here tired, probably a little depressed or whatever, and I still come on here and y'all appreciate the content. I appreciate y'all. I do. That's all I'm gonna say before I get emotional. Y'all know Sundays are bad for me, and I know that's a bad thing, but Sundays are bad for me. I ain't gonna lie.
I also want to say this shit, sis. Shout out to sis Lucius. I appreciate you for your content.
Oh yes, my Lucius. I love Lucius.
That night, I said, look at Lucius.
Sis Lucius, she be in the palm trees with her. Yeah, she be in the palm trees.
They'll be in the palm trees too.
All the time.
Yep.
All the time. Always here. And she let me know behind the scenes that she's always here. So listen, as far as really wanting to get to the bottom of it, y'all, let me tell y'all why I don't think so. Because the highway patrol, after they determined that this young man did not die by a hit and run driver or whatever, the highway patrol was still investigating the case instead of SLED. SLED is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. So my thing is this: like, once it was determined that it was not a hit and run and that it was an actual murder, then don't you think, sis, it should have been turned over to SLED?
Yeah.
Because once it's determined it's not a traffic accident, why is the highway patrol still investigating it? And to me, that's weird.
The police really can't be fair because there's the history of them being bought off by the Murdochs.
That's facts. Now that's facts. It is a history, a long history. So okay, y'all. So
with that, so that's why I was like,
yeah. But I don't know. This is I think the last episode. So hopefully I just feel so bad for Steven's mom because she is fighting hard to try to figure out what happened to her son, and for her not to know, and then for her to also feel like there's nothing being done to find out, I think that's pretty sad, you know.
It is
So,
sad. It is.
mhm, mhm. It's like,
That baby deserves justice. You know what I'm
and
saying?
that's the thing. Like, it's like when you don't feel like the police are doing their job in order to find out what happened. It feels like, my son was not. His life wasn't worth anything. Like,
Right.
come on now. Hey, Nicole, welcome, sweetie.
Hey,
All right, so
girl.
let's listen, y'all. Let's see what they come up with.
Okay.
In this episode, we're going to take you through all of the significant events that took place in this case between 2016 and now. But before we get into all of that, we want to remind you of the person that all of this is about, Stephen Nicholas Smith. Here is his incredible mother, Sandy Smith.
He was amazing. He was intelligent. He was a clown. When he walked in the room, all eyes are on him. But he loved trying to help people. He loved trying to make his own medication out of herbs because he didn't trust anybody. So I'm putting out my body. But yeah, and he loved books. His room was a library. We had to put shelves on all four walls to hold all his books. And he would not put that book down until he was finished. He wanted to be a doctor, but he said that he didn't, because it cost so much money to be a doctor, that he would start out in nursing. After he finished the nursing, he could get a job and then put himself through medical college and become a physician for needy children that doesn't have insurance.
Sandy Smith knew something was wrong at the time in 2015 when this case was going cold. She sensed it.
They just stopped. And I would call the night team, which was Lee Watkins, and sometimes they would call back and sometimes they wouldn't. I was calling the victim's advocate. And she says, well, let me check and see what's going on. And then nothing. Never got another call.
Sandy wasn't getting any answers from anyone in South Carolina. At this point, she even reached out to South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley for help, and the investigation into her son's death appeared to be at a standstill, as far as she could see.
At that time, I was like devastated, and I was getting no contact from any law enforcement. It was just like Stephen just was wiped out. I mean, his name, his case, everything was just, it all stopped, and I was trying to get it started back so he wouldn't be forgotten.
Sandy Smith refused to accept that the investigation was over. In September 2016, the grieving mother made one final plea in a heartbreaking letter to the FBI. My family is in desperate need of your help, she wrote. My 19-year-old son, Stephen Nicholas Smith, was murdered on July 8th, 2015 in Hampton County, South Carolina. It has been apparent from the first week of the investigation that authorities are covering up critical evidence, and we no longer know who to trust. In the letter, she said that authorities flip-flopped between theories when they told the Smiths of the news of Stephen's death on July 8th, 2015. In her letter, Sandy wrote that first, police told her that Stephen was shot after he ran out of gas and then was exiting his vehicle. And then after that, she was told that her son was killed in a hit-and-run accident and that the motorist fled the scene. And then investigators told her that he was beaten to death by unknown assailants. And to add tragedy on top of tragedy, Stephen's father died suddenly in October 2015, she explained in the letter. She said that her son Stephen was attacked so violently that his entire side of his face was rebuilt with putty for his funeral. To make matters worse, Sandy said in the letter that she was getting mixed messages from authorities in the immediate aftermath of Stephen's death. She said that Hampton investigators actually asked them at the time to continue to publicly say that Stephen was killed in a hit and run. And they claimed to her that they didn't want the killer to know that they were looking for him, which is really, really weird. In the letter, Sandy said that investigators have failed to access Stephen's phone, a critical piece of evidence that would likely shed.
That's another thing I don't understand, y'all. Like,
Yeah,
why?
they should have got a
Oh, that should have been one of the first things they did.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It
Because
really
they
doesn't
know
make
who's
sense.
involved. They know.
Hell, he could have got. This is crazy.
Light on a lot of the rumors surrounding the investigation. She said that at the beginning of the investigation, they were told that they would not have access to Stephen's texts for at least a year. She said that investigators told her that they'd have to send the phone to Apple to get the security features unlocked. And then months after they told her that, they found out that the phone was never sent to Apple. According to the investigation file, the Highway Patrol didn't attempt to access Stephen's phone until Todd Proctor obtained a search warrant for the phone from Verizon Wireless in January 2016. That was the last mention of anything happening with Stephen's phone, and there was never any conclusion in the case file about if they found anything with Stephen's phone. In the conclusion of Sandy's letter that she sent in September 2016, she pleaded with the FBI to open an investigation into Stephen's death. "We desperately need your help," she wrote. "This investigation is being deliberately derailed. We need to hold the investigators accountable to access Stephen's phone." And Sandy did get a response from the FBI. We'll be right back.
Girl, come on back, girl. Nicole, come on back.
I recently asked Sandy what happened after she mailed this letter to the FBI back in 2016.
They sent 2 agents to my house, and they asked me what I thought the holdup was, and I said, it's all about this phone. They keep saying they can't get the phone unlocked. And so they went and got the phone, signed the phone out, took it to Virginia, to Quantico, and got it unlocked and took it back to Mate. And then they offered to process the clothes and all the other evidence.
And then what did they do?
And that was it. Because they had to, they weren't invited in. They had to be invited in. And they weren't invited in. So then that stopped also.
Wow.
Sandy is saying here that the South Carolina Highway Patrol, which had been questioning its own involvement in this case from the very start, did not seek the assistance of the FBI.
Wow.
For the FBI to have had jurisdiction over this investigation, for them to have taken this case without getting invited by state investigators, Stephen's death would have had to have occurred on federal property, such as a national park or reservation, or would have had to involve some other federal crime or ongoing federal investigation. Sandy literally had no one in law enforcement to turn to, especially no one she could trust. Had the FBI been involved, though, it's not clear this would have led to a suspect. While it's generally assumed that the FBI has agents who are highly and specifically trained for cases like this, there were just so many problems with this investigation. But what we have here, and what Sandy experienced over and again, appears to be a shrug, and the constant reassurance from law enforcement, from the professionals whose literal purpose is to protect and serve the people, that there's nothing amiss here. What's crazy about this, and all the Murdoch-related investigations actually, is how often we've been told that the things we are seeing or aren't seeing are not signs of corruption, but rather incidents of incompetence. If we believed every law enforcement agency that has told us the anomalies in their Murdoch-related investigations are due to officer error, then we have to tell everyone in South Carolina to move, because we have a big problem.
While authorities apparently managed to forget Stephen's case, Sandy did everything so she could find answers. Over the next few years, she filed several Freedom of Information Act requests to get as many records as she could on Stephen's case. She left messages with investigators to remind them that Stephen's case still needed attention, and she talked about her son's case to anybody who would listen. She truly never stopped fighting for her son. And that brings us to February 2019. In the weeks following the horrific boat crash that killed Mallory Beach, I kept seeing a meme online that said justice for Mallory and Stephen. As we started to piece together who Stephen Smith was and a skeleton of the story about what happened to him, Liz remembered that she got a tip from law enforcement about Stephen's case before the boat crash happened.
Cause listen,
In the
y'all gotta
summer,
remember that with the Stephen Smith murder, the Mallory what is now is it Beach? Mallory, you know the young lady that died in the boat crash due to Paul. Her murder and the housekeeper Stephen was killed first. Like his case was the oldest case. You know what I mean?
2018, around the time of the annual Trial Lawyers Association meeting, when all the Murdochs descended on Hilton Head to attend continuing education courses and host lavish dinner parties for judges and politicians. A law enforcement source of mine, who knows the Murdochs well, told me about a story he'd heard that he wanted me to expose. The only problem was that the story was about a gay teenager who had been beaten to death in Hampton County, which might as well have been in Iceland because it is an hour and a half away and wasn't in our coverage area. And I just didn't see how I was going to be able to convince my editor to allow me to spend time investigating it. The Murdoch family was well known, but had somewhat faded into the background in Beaufort County after Randolph retired in 2006. A quick aside about Randolph's retirement party. It was apparently held at the high school in Hampton County, and more than 1,000 people attended it. And they had it catered by the Hampton County Jail with uniformed inmates serving the food. Nice, right? The law enforcement source who told me about Stephen's case also told me the Murdoch boys did it and that their family and other law enforcement agencies were conspiring to cover it up.
Wow.
He was disgusted by this and by the behavior of Alec in general. Alec allowed his kids to drink underage in public at restaurants and other events, even ones attended by law enforcement officers. That is how low his regard was for following the law and how sure they were that they could do what they wanted when they wanted, no matter who saw it. At the time, I was working on another project and put it on hold. Sometime in very early 2019, Mandy and I were talking about stories we wanted to do, and I told her about this case. Not long after, the boat crash occurred, and my law enforcement source reminded me of who Paul Murdoch was. When the memes featuring Mallory and Stephen came out, it gave us the green light to pursue Stephen's story without worrying about our quote-unquote coverage area. And I also just want to say thank God for the bravery of these very first people who posted those memes, because without them, I don't think the pressure on the Murdochs and law enforcement would have mounted the same way it did. It was Mandy who first reached out to Sandy for a source. At the time, and still to this day, people were very reluctant to speak about the Murdochs over the phone or even at all. They certainly wouldn't go on the record about them. When we first met Sandy in March 2019, it was clear that she had no such fear of them. She was willing to show us everything she had, tell us everything she'd been through. I think it's important to note that when people first meet Sandy, they often comment on how taken they are by her. She's just a really smart, rational, and very collected person who has also experienced a lot of sadness and a lot of hardship. She wasn't on a mission against the Murdochs. She was on a mission to get answers on what happened to her son. At the time of our first meeting, there were rumors going around Hampton County that Sandy had been paid off by the Murdoch family, and that's why nothing ever happened in Stephen's case. Obviously, this wasn't true, but it certainly gives you insight into how people think things are normally handled in Murdoch country.
So back in March 2019, we left Sandy's house and felt determined to help her, but we didn't know where to start. Over the next few months, on our own time, we chipped away at the case files. Months later, both Liz and I left the newspaper we were at due to management issues, and we never published the story about Stephen. But Stephen's story stuck with both of us. It was a weight we carried, knowing that we never fulfilled a promise to Sandy. And during that time, something weird happened in 2020 that we need to talk about. Two private investigators named Henry Rosado and Max Bertotti were allegedly hired by Parkers in the Mallory Beach lawsuit. According to Sandy, two investigators showed up at her door in the summer of 2020 and said they were interested in Stephen's case.
But they just showed up at my house and told me that, and this was After Mallory died, I think it was that June, they said there was a lot of people interested in Stephen's case and had hired them to help with Stephen's case. But they never said who they worked for.
Sandy said she was desperate for answers at the time, and she gave them Stephen's iPad, the one that the Highway Patrol apparently didn't find much evidence on, aside from the fact that it last pinged at Orangeburg Technical College on the night before Stephen died. But the weird thing is that Sandy said those two private investigators never gave her the iPad back. And that brings us to June 7th, 2021, when Maggie and Paul Murdoch were murdered in Colleton County, South Carolina. In the days after the double homicide, I noticed the same thing was happening online that happened in the aftermath of the 2019 boat crash. Lots of people from Hampton County were commenting about the Stephen Smith case and connecting the dots between the two. I knew that it was time to tell the world about Stephen Smith. So 3 days after the murders, I finally worked up the courage that I never had before to write about the Murdoch family and the 3 deaths they were connected to: Mallory Beach, Stephen Smith, and Gloria Satterfield. In that article that was honestly 2 years in the making, I was first to report that the Murdoch name was mentioned more than 40 times in the investigation file of Stephen Smith. And in the week after I wrote that story, Sandy hoped and prayed that the new momentum would prompt a new investigation into her son's death. On Thursday, June 17th, 10 days after the double homicide, an agent from the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division called Sandy. She was hoping to hear that they had opened a case into her son's unsolved death. I wish I recorded this conversation. I remember hearing the devastation in Sandy's voice when she told me that SLED called her back and said they were only looking into Stephen Smith's case because they had to see if Stephen's family was involved in the shooting of Paul and Maggie Murdoch. What a slap in the face, Sandy Smith told me at the time. Sandy was so heartbroken and publicly called out SLED in an article that I wrote at Fitz News that day. And I didn't know what to tell her at this point. I, too, was devastated and angry. It was the first time I cried at my desk while working at Fitz News. 4 days later, Sandy called and told me she had gotten the news that she had waited almost 6 years for. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division was finally opening an investigation into Stephen Smith's death. Thankfully, I recorded that conversation.
So after all this time, the case was being investigated by the so-called Highway Patrol. Now, SLED, which is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, is now taking up the case. Okay?
Will go down, honestly, as one of the best phone calls I've ever had.
I've been shaking all over, got chills all over me. I've been wanting to cry, but I haven't cried yet.
I mean, you've waited for so long.
What they said was the SLED that's working the Murdoch case and stuff like that, they don't even know who they are. They don't know anybody on the MATE team. This is like fresh.
Okay.
It's like starting from the beginning.
Good. We'll be right back.
All right, y'all. So that's where we're at right now. Finally, after all this time, to me, honestly, the case is going to be investigated the way it should be. It should have started in the beginning, but yeah. So y'all continue to hit that like button if you enjoying the commentary. Okay, let me know what y'all think so far. If y'all got any questions, put them in the chat for me. I think we got maybe like 20 more minutes on this, and if you notice, I'm not doing a whole lot of talking because I want y'all to hear what's going on as far as with Stephen Smith. Now, I did not know it was a part 6. I thought part 5 was it. I don't know if I'm gonna cover part 6 today. If not, I'll do it tomorrow. But I'm just hoping that after we listen to all this, it'll be some type of resolve when it comes to Stephen Smith, because I think this case is so sad. All right, y'all. So here we go.
After I got off the phone with Sandy, I called a spokesperson at the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division who told me that SLED had opened up the investigation based on information gathered during the course of the double homicide investigation of Maggie and Paul Murdoch. Sandy was filled with so much hope on June 22nd, 2021, but as much as she had always wanted the eyes of the world on Stephen's case, she soon felt the brunt of the media storm that hit Hampton County this summer.
Every day I'd come home from work and there would be reporters in the yard, dirty notes on my door. My phone is full of voicemails and I want to erase them because that way they can't leave me alone. But no, it's basically, everybody was trying to make money off of Stephen's story. And it just got so hectic that I just started avoiding them. Me and Mercedes would run and go to my friend's house and we wouldn't be home. And we'd drive by my driveway, and if there was a car in the yard, we would just keep going. One of them knocked on my door at 1:30 in the morning. New York Times or something, somebody from New York. Well, it got to the point where Mercedes was getting scared, you know, because you had all these strangers in our yard all the time, and yeah, it was too much. That's why I had to I got Andy to keep the media away from us.
As Sandy was so overwhelmed with media requests and didn't know who to turn to, a friend of a friend recommended that she reach out to Charleston attorney Andy Savage for help. Andy Savage is a prominent Charleston, South Carolina attorney who has taken on several famous cases. Most recently, Andy Savage is known for representing victims of the Charleston church shooting, along with Alec Murdaugh's attorney Dick Harpootlian, in a whopping $88 million settlement with the federal government. This summer, Andy agreed to represent Sandy for $1, but he was very clear about one rule that he had for her. She could not take any media interviews without his permission first. He threatened to drop her as a client if she broke this rule. Keep in mind, this is a time when Stephen's case had more media momentum than ever before. Every media outlet in the country wanted to talk to Sandy Smith. And this was a 6-year-old cold case. The best chance that they had to solve this was someone coming forward who witnessed Stephen's death or knew someone who did. Why wouldn't Andy Savage want his clients speaking to any media who could help them solve Stephen's death? Apparently just before Sandy hired Andy in July 2021, Andy Savage happened to hire an investigator named Stephen Peterson, who was appointed to work on the Smith case this summer. Over the next few months, Sandy said she communicated a lot more with Peterson than she did with Andy Savage. She said that she almost never heard from her own attorney, Andy Savage. Then on October 27th, 2021, just a few days before Stephen's first ever memorial fundraiser, Sandy checked her phone and couldn't believe what she saw. It was a headline in ABC News 4 that said, "Focus on the Murdochs and Stephen Smith death may be unfounded," attorney says, with a photo of Andy Savage next to Stephen. That attorney who was saying that was her own attorney, Andy Savage. And Sandy had no idea that Andy was going to say this to media. Sandy could not believe it. Her attorney was speaking to media and apparently absolving the Murdochs without her consent.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Wow. Let me go back a little bit, y'all. Let me listen to that again. My God. Y'all, this runs deep.
Keep in mind, this is a time when Stephen's case had more media momentum than ever before. Every media outlet in the country wanted to talk to Sandy Smith. And this was a 6-year-old cold case. The best chance that they had to solve this was someone coming forward who witnessed Stephen's death or knew someone who did. Why wouldn't Andy Savage want his clients speaking to any media who could help them solve Stephen's death? Apparently just before Sandy hired Andy in July 2021, Andy Savage happened to hire an investigator named Stephen Peterson, who was appointed to work on the Smith case this summer. Over the next few months, Sandy said she communicated a lot more with Peterson than she did with Andy Savage. She said that she almost never heard from her own attorney, Andy Savage. Then on October 27th, 2021, just a few days before Stephen's first ever memorial fundraiser, Sandy checked her phone and couldn't believe what she saw. It was a headline in ABC News 4 that said, "Focus on the Murdochs and Stephen Smith death may be unfounded," attorney says, with a photo of Andy Savage next to Stephen. That attorney who was saying that was her own attorney, Andy Savage. And Sandy had no idea that Andy was going to say this to media. Sandy could not believe it. Her attorney was speaking to media and apparently absolving the Murdochs without her consent.
Was he? I don't know if he was trying to throw the media off, or I don't know exactly what he was doing. It just was very heartbreaking to have to read something that your lawyer said in the media.
Wow.
With no warning.
Stephen Peterson did speak to her before the story was published and said that they believed that they had a suspect in the case and they didn't think that the Murdochs were connected. But he told her that he didn't want to say anything until he knew for sure.
So my thing was, I guess I thought that they would wait until they knew for certain before they put it all over the news. It's always a different slap in the face on the cheek, I guess.
Sandy Smith was crystal clear. She was not mad about the conclusion that Savage and Peterson apparently reached in the investigation to apparently absolve the Murdochs. And also, I want to point out that Savage specifically stated that his comments were about Paul Murdoch, but he did not add that much clarity.
All I've ever wanted was the truth. I don't care who did it, what their name was. I want to know who killed my son.
After I published this story, Savage replied to my media request and told me that all he did was provide a written statement that said that the media seems to be focused, perhaps obsessed, on the Murdoch link to the Smith case. He said our investigation has not eliminated other possibilities. He said he believed that the SLED investigation continues to explore all possibilities, and good for them.
So, Stephen Peterson. Before I started at Fitz News a few weeks ago, I worked for the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office as the Assistant Public Information Officer for just over a year. I was at the office when I got a call from Peterson, who told me he was an investigator with Sandy's attorney and was working to get to the bottom of the Stephen Smith case. I had a Google Doc with 100 pages of my notes from the Smith case, including a very detailed timeline. And I had already shared that with an attorney friend of mine who passed this on to Savage's team. I figured Peterson was calling me about that, but it turned out he wanted something else. In 2019, Mandy was given an unredacted copy of the Highway Patrol investigation. This included hours of interviews with witnesses, investigator notes, and photos. Peterson wanted a copy of what we had. He said SLED wouldn't give it to him. I would do anything to help Sandy, so I told him I would. But then I started talking to Peterson and, where to start? I asked him if he was certified with SLED. He wasn't. I asked him what his thoughts were on the case, and he shared them. Now, a day before this, again in October 2021, Mandy had learned that law enforcement was starting to float the idea that Stephen really had been killed in a hit and run and the Murdochs had nothing to do with it. So it struck me as odd when Peterson began telling me the same details that Mandy had learned. I want to be very clear here. We do not care whether the Murdochs had anything to do with Stephen's death, and we certainly are not saying that they did. What we are saying, however, is that no one can claim the Murdochs, quote, had nothing to do with the case when their names and metaphorical fingerprints are all over the case file. If they had nothing to do with it, then they are a very unlucky family. On his own, and according to him, before SLED had interviewed this person, Peterson told me he had visited Sean Connolly, who was named in the original investigation as a potential person of interest in Stephen's death. You might remember from the last Stephen Smith episode, Sean Connolly is one of two teenagers who suddenly emerged as potential suspects right after Sandy Smith was on the cover of the Hampton Guardian, insinuating that people in Hampton County were covering up for the Murdochs in November 2015. Sean's friend Patrick Wilson was facing attempted murder charges at the time they were brought to law enforcement's attention and was being represented by Corey Fleming. You know, Alec's best friend and Paul's godfather. Neither boy appears to have been questioned by Highway Patrol in Stephen's case at the time, and Mandy and I have always found their appearance in the file strange. Also a little strange, the 14th Judicial Circuit Solicitor's Office, of which Alec Murdoch was a member at the time, dropped the attempted murder charges against Patrick Wilson altogether shortly after this. Peterson told me he was a former DEA agent and that he had used one of his super special DEA agent skills to interrogate Sean, who, according to Peterson, started to come undone under his questioning. Peterson told me he lied to Sean and told Sean that he had photos of the damage done to his truck the night Stephen died. He told me Sean got quote-unquote squirrely and told him that he had hit a deer that night and that the damage to his truck was from that. When I asked Peterson what he made of the fact that Daryl Williams, the man who came forward about Sean Connolly and Patrick Wilson in 2015, had told a Highway Patrol investigator that Randy Murdoch had urged him to contact police and tell them about Connolly and Wilson, Peterson told me that he had also interviewed Daryl. And guess what? Daryl now swears that Randy never told him this, and that he didn't know why it was in the investigator's report. During our reporting, Mandy and I had been told the names of 3 kids who allegedly witnessed Stephen's killing, along with Buster and Paul, again allegedly. When I brought up these names with Peterson, he seemed to dismiss the idea altogether. Again, we do not care who killed Stephen Smith. We care about finding out who killed Stephen Smith. Mm-hmm. In that moment, in talking to Peterson, I got a sick feeling and immediately called Mandy afterward. We ultimately decided we would not share the investigation with Peterson until we got the okay from Sandy. In the meantime, though,
Peterson, I'm sorry, seems a little suspect, but, you know, with this case, everybody's suspect to me at this point. I just don't understand. But let's listen, y'all. It's like maybe 10 or 12 minutes left, and we're going to get through that, okay? Y'all make sure y'all put any questions in the chat if you got any questions, okay?
We cut off all access to my notes and timeline. And shortly after this is when a TV station reported that Andy Savage was declaring that the Murdochs had nothing to do with the case.
And what's even weirder, a source close to the investigation told me she was interviewed by Stephen Peterson this fall. She told me, like Liz, that she felt sick while speaking to Peterson. She said that Peterson only seemed focused on information that could clear the Murdoch's name and seemed to ignore all the other details that she was giving him. She said that he had a list of suspects in front of her during the interview and literally crossed off Buster and Paul's names in front of her, despite what she was saying. So, essentially, Andy Savage apparently did 3 things for Sandy Smith. He appointed a PI on her case who appeared to have conducted a botched investigation that apparently concluded that the Murdochs were not involved in Stephen Smith's death. He silenced Sandy during a time when her son's case needed momentum and the public's attention. And he made a public statement without her consent that attempted to clear the Murdoch's name from the case. So, yes, we should be questioning Andy Savage's intentions in this case.
I was devastated that he had made a public announcement without consulting me first. I felt betrayed. I felt very betrayed, you know, because I feel if you're an attorney and you're working my son's case, you're working for my son, that all information needs to go through me first so I can prepare my children from the devastation, you know. I just felt betrayed, very betrayed.
After that story ran, Sandy Smith and Andy Savage split ways. At that point, Sandy told me that she felt like she was better off doing this on her own. She was worried that she would never be able to trust an attorney again. Just when she was giving up hope on all South Carolina attorneys, she met attorney Mike Hemlip. Mike Hemlip has over 30 years of legal experience on both sides of the law. He was the first police advisor for the Columbia Police Department and a prosecutor for several years who handled dozens of murder cases. He's also recently worked as a private attorney handling litigation for car accidents, civil rights issues, personal injury, and in other areas. Mike met Sandy at the Standing for Stephen fundraiser in Columbia, South Carolina on October 30th. And just like me, Mike was immediately impressed with Sandy Smith when they first met, and he felt compelled to help her and help Stephen's case however he could. Mike relates to Stephen on a level that most attorneys don't.
I think one of the things that brings.
Okay, so now y'all gonna hear Mike, the new attorney. Y'all gonna hear him speak, okay? Let's see what he has to say. That other attorney, that PI baby, I don't know what the hell they had going on. You know what? I don't remember, and I don't want to rewind it. Where did she find that other attorney from? It's weird. Maybe his ass was paid off too. I'm just sick of it. Let's listen, y'all.
Immediately impressed with Sandy Smith when they first met, and he felt compelled to help her and help Stephen's case however he could. Mike relates to Stephen on a level that most attorneys don't.
I think one of the things that brings to the table is that, being part of the LGBT community.
Oh, okay. Let me put my closed caption on because I want to make sure I catch everything he's saying, and it's sort of kind of a little distorted. Let me see if the caption will help y'all. I want to let y'all know what he's saying. First thing he said was he's part of the LGBT community, which Stephen was a part of, okay? That's the first thing.
Standing for Stephen fundraiser in Columbia, South Carolina on October 30th. And just like me, Mike was immediately impressed with Sandy Smith when they first met, and he felt compelled to help her and help Stephen's case however he could. Mike relates to Stephen on a level that most attorneys don't.
I think one of the things that brings to the table is that, being part of the LGBT community. Stephen's story is very much the reason why young men and women all over the country don't come out of the closet. Men and women all over this country don't come out of the closet because they're afraid of violence. And we don't know the motive of or even the means of how Stephen passed away. But the implication is scary. We need to solve this. And I've spent 30 years helping victims get to the bottom of their case and helping to fill in the blanks of mysteries, of criminal and civil liability. I wanted to do that for them. Stephen deserves it.
In November, Sandy officially hired Mike as her new attorney, and Mike has one goal for his new client. That's getting justice for Stephen Smith.
Justice for Stephen. Justice for this family. This family went through a horrific experience. It was one after the other, right? It was, the family had to deal with Stephen's death, and then right on the heels of that, Joel died, and they had to deal with that as well. And nobody.
So what he's talking about is the fact that after Stephen passed, not long after that, if y'all could remember, his dad passed. Okay, so that's what he's speaking about right there.
Nobody knew about it. Very few people in Columbia knew about it. We're an hour away from Hampton. Well, then a bunch of other murders happened, and then a bunch of other things happened in Hampton County. A bunch of things that seemingly, they just popped up. And now Stephen's a national topic. Why was he a national topic before?
Yeah.
He wasn't a national topic before because there was no money involved. He deserves justice. Everyone deserves justice.
Mike told me that he couldn't get into specifics, but he feels confident that SLED's investigation is headed in the right direction.
For far too long, stories and investigations into Stephen's death have blurred the truth, filled it with speculation, and clouded the evidence. But finally, after many frustrating years, the Smith family is building a healthy partnership with law enforcement. Sandy, Stephen's mother, is being treated by law enforcement exactly the way a crime victim's mother should be treated. She sat down and met with agents of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division and the agents of the state law enforcement division and Sandy and the family have been meeting and sharing information with each other. And because of that, we are closer to answers than we have been since it began in July of 2015. But it still remains unsolved, and there's work to be done.
Sandy's new attorney believes that this case can be solved.
I practiced law for 30 years, and the first chunk of it, I had the honor of working for Solicitor John Justice in the Sixth Circuit. I've had cases like this. There are people out there who know what happened. There are people out there who know parts of the puzzle. And for whatever reason, in Hamilton County, those people didn't come forward. And we're now in an environment where Hampton County has a bright light on it. And those people who didn't come forward for whatever reason, those reasons don't exist anymore. And I think people are going to start talking and telling us what they know.
So let's be clear here. Hampton locals, I am speaking directly to you.
Wow.
I know how scary it was to speak up years ago, but things are different now. You do not have to take these secrets to your grave. Whether or not the Murdochs had anything to do with this, your tip could help alleviate a whole lot of pain in the Smith family. Your tip could mean that this is the last Christmas Sandy Smith has to spend wondering what happened to her son. And you didn't have to witness the crime for your tip to be worth it. We have heard there are people out there who have heard directly from witnesses who drunkenly confessed to them what happened.
Oh, God.
Police need to hear from you. Or maybe you're an investigator who could come forward about what happened during this case. The time to speak is right now. This story is not going away. And the guilt that's inside of you is not going to go away until Sandy gets justice. Please come forward. Please help Sandy.
If anyone knows anything, big or small, about Stephen Smith's homicide, please, I beg you, to please call Crime Stoppers and just tell us what you know. The people who do know something.
And see what people don't realize about Crime Stopper, and this is the thing, like, honestly, I don't know. If I knew something, I don't know, y'all, but the thing about Crime Stoppers that people don't know is that you can actually call in and be anonymous. And, you know, your tip could lead to them actually solving the case. And you don't have to, because see, I think these people in Hampton County, baby, that Murdoch money, I don't know if it's the fact that, you know, it's the money or the fear. I don't know what it is, but that money was long and strong, honey. It was long and strong. And the thing about it is, like, even if you don't want to talk to the police directly, calling Crime Stoppers, I know for facts that you can call those people and be anonymous, and they will check out your tip. And sometimes those tips lead to arrest. I don't think people realize that. All right, y'all, we got about 5 more minutes, then we're going to get out of here. I appreciate y'all sticking around. I do. Thank y'all.
By now, they're probably mothers or fathers. And how would they feel if it was the same thing happens to their child?
Right.
If people don't talk, then you can't stop the violence.
We are begging you, if you know any information that could help SLED solve Stephen Smith's case, call Crime Stoppers at the Low Country at 843-554-1111 or at their website, which is in the description of this podcast. It's important to note that when you call Crime Stoppers at the Low Country, you can stay anonymous.
In all my work with law enforcement of different agencies, the Columbia Police Department, the Fielding County Sheriff's Department, the Chester County Sheriff's Department, one of the things that I don't think the public understands is that when you call Crime Stoppers with a tip, they're followed up. They're read. This is not some, you know, website where you send them an email or you make a phone call and nobody ever pays attention to it anymore. They're followed up on. And when you get in touch with Crime Stoppers of the Low Country, if you have information about Stevens, you don't have to give your name. It can be anonymous. It's not recorded. The phone call is not recorded. The IP address is not saved by Crime Stoppers. It's it is a truly, truly safe place where you can give information about a horrific crime, and you can stay safe. And by the way, while we're talking about it, Crime Stopping Solutions is 843-554-1111. Stephen's case is so different from a lot of the other things that have been happening in Hampton. And it is a mystery. I mean, it is a mystery. But in real life, I mean, this isn't fiction. It's not a movie, and it's not television. It's not streaming. This is real life. And in real life, people who don't come forward with the information that they know don't come forward because of some fear that they have. And we need to make sure that in this part of South Carolina, that fear doesn't exist anymore.
And we hope that the people who know things, including law enforcement officers who are a part of this case, will reach out to us at the Murdoch Murders Podcast and Fitz News as we work to solve this. Reach out to us at info@MurdaughMurdersPodcast.com. This case is just beginning, and we're just getting started.
I'll be here no matter how long it takes. I'm still going to fight.
All right, y'all. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's the end of that episode. Like I said, I did not know it was a part 6, but it actually is a part 6, and I'm going to bring part 6 tomorrow. Hopefully in part 6, there will be some type of leeway in the case. I don't know. I haven't watched it. I don't know if I'm going to watch it before we react tomorrow, but I'm just hoping and praying that they getting closer to finding out what happened to Steven. Okay? With that being said, Flexi or Trey, if y'all available, y'all want to say anything before we get off here?
Girl, I'm just listening because, like I said, I already said who I believe killed him.
Yeah, you did. That's a twist. That is a twist.
You gotta have a twist to it, girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Twist to it.
But
I ain't got none.
Why you ain't got none, Trey?
You could at least say who you think.
Honestly, though, Trey, who you think?
I think Paul did it.
I'm telling
Both
you,
of y'all think Paul did it?
roguish ass did it. I think Paul roguish ass did it.
Oh my God!
I mean, I think Buster probably
Y'all
said,
talk for a
Stevie,
minute.
the
Let me answer
problem,
the
Paul.
phone.
Take care of it.
Oh, so you think Buster made the call to Paul and Paul went and handled his business. That's what you saying?
Yep.
Okay, that's a little different. But I just think Paul did it because he probably was a little fucked up about, him knowing, Steven is a gay guy, why is his brother, and then attention. And, he ain't spending that much time with his brother if Buster and Steven always spend time. He might have been a little jealous of their relationship, their friendship or whatever. Hey, Kyle Pepsi. I got some of them in the refrigerator chair. I'm trying to stay away from them because I'm on these new keto apple cider vinegar gummies. That's supposed to suppress your appetite and everything.
This shit sound nasty.
Huh?
This shit sound nasty. Keto apple cider vinegar gummies.
It curb your appetite, but see, you need to keep eating because I say you didn't finish all your tacos. You see what I'm saying?
Ma'am, I ate 6 of them.
Well, okay, you did more than me. Okay, but it suppress your appetite and it takes, it make you feel good. Apple cider vinegar, they say is good for you anyway. So yes,
I'm trying to get Truth to take the Mexican pizza challenge. She being stubborn.
What about the Mexican pizza?
I'm trying to get her to eat 4 of them in 12 minutes. She won't do it.
We can't eat no 4 Mexican pizzas, Money Boy. You been a little harsh.
That's one every 3 minutes.
I can only eat one. Hell, I barely finished that. And then I like to pick around the Mexican pizza because they always fuck it up. It always be looking a certain type of way when you get it home. I don't like that shit. Thank you, Tamara girl. Yeah, Why you trying to get her to eat 4? You should have said 2 or something. 4 is a little bit too much. Can you eat 4?
Where they get 7 tacos from? It's just an
I don't
arbitrary
know.
number.
I don't know who started that challenge. I don't know. So I can't tell you. But that is a little harsh too, because I could barely eat 2 tacos. Now, see, I get my tacos from Taco Casa. I don't know if y'all got a Taco Casa in y'all local neighborhood, but I know Taco Casa, they use that real ground beef and fill that motherfucking shell up. Them motherfuckers, baby, they be packed. I love me a Taco Casa taco, honey. Yeah. So little Paul and Buster them. Paul was a little roguish thing, though. He was a little roguish thing.
Wait a minute. Where you get Paul was roguish? What did
Girl, Paul did the most shit. He was roguish.
Oh my God. Okay.
And let's look at it. He laughed about the fact when Mallory, wasn't her name Mallory, when she went over the boat? He was laughing and drunk.
Yeah, because Anthony, which was Mallory's boyfriend, he wanted to just kill his
ass on the dock.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, he a little roguish ass. Anybody that
Now
can sit
the
up and
thing about it is, I wouldn't be shocked or surprised to find out that Paul has something to do with it. But for me, honestly, I think it honestly stems from Buster and Paul, not Paul, but Steven maybe messing around. Girl, why my thing restored? I'm so glad I'm done. My computer.
Money Boy had said he feel like maybe Buster made the call to Paul and went and finished him off.
Oh wow. Oh wow. You know what I think would be easy to investigate? Now, they're saying that Stephen may have been hit over the head with the baseball bat. And they're saying that one of the Murdoch boys was coming from a baseball game when this happened. So can we not know who was actually playing baseball? Was it Paul or Buster? Who was coming? Who traveled that day from a baseball game? How do you know?
Because I seen his ass.
How do you know it was Paul? I hadn't caught that.
They got a picture with I think it was Paul when they were showing. They was talking about Paul being murdered. I think he was on he was in a baseball suit, or was that Buster? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, I ain't seen that picture.
Oh, girl, it's on the internet. Go look for it. It's on there.
Oh, I'm gonna look.
It's on one of these videos because I happened to stumble across one of these videos and I seen it when they was talking about. Damn, when I get the name of the video, I'm gonna send it to you because it got that picture in there. Yeah.
I would love to know who actually played baseball at that time.
Yeah, I didn't even know nothing about Steven being hit in the head with the baseball bat.
Yeah, they said that allegedly somebody it was a story out there that they was driving down the road and Steven was walking down the road and actually he was initially hit across the head and the face with a baseball bat. Yeah. That's why I say I wonder who was playing in a baseball game that day. Who was actually leaving a baseball game that day? Was it Paul or was it Buster?
See, I don't know about that day, but I know Paul was on the picture.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I'm gonna send you the video, girl.
Okay, I appreciate that. You know I appreciate it. All right, y'all, we're gonna get out of here because I gotta come back live later and I got some things to do before I come back later on, y'all. So thank everybody for joining this live, supporting this live. I honestly appreciate it. Shout out to the True Sippers. Shout out to my moderators and my monetary contributors. Shout out to Miss Flexi, baby, for hitting the link. Shout out to Trey. Trey too, y'all. Trey too. Thank you, Tamara.
What Trey over there doing? Being man.
Ain't no telling, child.
And Trey, how you gonna come up missing on the live the last week? They said you was getting some ass. So you know.
I'm entitled.
Defending your name.
Hey man.
I'm entitled. I had to have a relaxation weekend.
Okay, so self-care weekend. Okay, I get it.
No, y'all killing me with the day of
self-care. It wasn't self-care, but it was some care going on.
It was some care going on.
After waiting 2,000. Pop back on. Go ahead, y'all.
Okay. But you got some self-care in there, though. Yeah.
I cannot. Anywho, thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all, True Sippers. I will be back later. Plus, you gonna do anything in between, or you chilling today?
I might. Y'all know how I pop ants. I got
Oh
to
yeah,
feed
you
me.
do pop out. Trey,
My
you got
little stuff
anything going
out.
on? What else you got going on today, Trey?
Nothing so far. Nothing planned yet.
And I think the truth is working, so I'll be checking to see if anybody pop up like Raina, Cam, or somebody. You know, Raina pop
Yeah.
up too on y'all asses.
You're doing improv 2 live on you. I
Raina
like
pop
that girl.
up too.
Yeah, improv
Yeah,
2.
I just be even though I'm gonna be chilling with the fam bam and eating and talking and things of that nature. I be checking in to see if anybody pop up, mad or pop up. Yeah. So with that being said, y'all, we're gonna get off of here until later. Shout out to y'all for supporting this content that matters. Okay. Y'all be safe out here. Listen, y'all be safe in the real streets and y'all be safe out here in these YouTube streets. Okay.
Okay.
The neighborhood watch 227. Girl, I flipped
I
out
know
when
that's
I
right,
seen
girl.
that picture of 227 right posted. Girl, she got a whole community post. She got girl. I love me some 227 Raina. Later,
Me too.
Melissa. Bye, Miss Later Sunflower. I love me some 227 girl. Y'all remember 227? Raina, hot ass miss. But that with that being said, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here. So and then y'all know I'm gonna get me a little nap in. I got to do that, baby, because I be up too damn early. But anywho, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Flex, you want to say anything before we get off, girl?
Y'all know what I say. Stay blessed, never stress, and get you some motherfucking breeze. Okay.
Oh yes. Shout out to y'all. Later, Melissa.
Get you some self-care.
There you go. I know that's right.
That's my new
Shit.
bougie word, self-care.
Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. Great. All right, y'all be good. Go enjoy your families, eat your Sunday meals, and we'll be back later, True Sippers. Love y'all. Y'all be good. Until later.